Alright guys, Runewords, this is everything that you need to know to get these running. So this is the brand new thing coming out in Season 6 and the expansion of Diablo. So for starters, they are going to be these new things that are going to be in the newer tab called Sacketables. So first off, let's go over how to acquire them, how we actually can use them, and different combinations, and a really helpful tool that I promise you guys will save you so much time. So for starters, to acquire the runes, right now on the PTR, you can talk to Emrak, you can go to the equipment, and then you can go click on him again, and then you click grant all runes. He's going to give you some caches, and you just right click and open them. You get your runes. But this is only on PTR. How do you get them in the actual game? So to get them in the actual game, you need to get these as drops. You can also trade these, but the areas that I found to be most successful with acquiring the runes are going to be in the tormented bosses. So once you kill the tormented boss, they'll drop. So these are mostly going to be oriented around endgame, as a lot of stuff in the earlier stages will not have the sockets required. Okay, so now that we know how to get them, which is basically the bosses are going to give you the highest chances, but you may be able to get them elsewhere in the game. But if you're playing the PTR, you can just talk to the NPC. Now, let's go over some rules because this is really important. You are only allowed 2 rune words in total. You have to have 2 sockets in the item in order to create the rune word. So that means that you're going to be able to put it in your helmet, your chest piece, your pants, and then a 2-hander if your class has one, right? Because there are some classes, like if you're playing like something with an offhand, well, it won't work. So you can only put in a total of 2. Wherever you decide to put in those 2 rune words, you can only put in 2. However, in most circumstances, I would say it's going to be better for the weapon, and then wherever else, it doesn't really matter, because in the gems they're going to be the same, because you can only put them in armor, you can't put them in the jewelry slot. So now that we got the rules out of the way, let's go over the second rule, which is how you actually create a rune word. And also another thing, since I played lots of Diablo 2, you cannot mess these up. You can just unsocket them. They actually don't let you socket it in improperly. So to explain what I mean by improperly, to create a rune word, we have what's called a rune of ritual and then a rune of invocation. So how it works is you require 2. The easiest way that I can kind of explain it is you have a male and a female rune. I'm going to consider this one the male one because it has a thing sticking out, and this one has like kind of like a socket, right? It's just easier terminology with this. So you have to have 1 ritual and 1 invocation. You cannot put 2 of the invocations together. It will not work. You're also only allowed to use 1 of each type. Like I cannot use 2 different Yule runes in 2 different things. I can only run 1 copy of a rune. So basically 4 different runes, 2 rituals, 2 invocations. That's like the easier way to explain it. They also have rarities. The rarity doesn't really matter. It doesn't always correspond to, oh, the better one is going to be the higher rarity. As far as I'm aware of, these do not have roles either. They all do the exact same thing. So as in, if you get another copy of a Yule rune, it doesn't have a range. This one, it says gain 50 offering. So what you need to actually activate your 2 rune words is going to be getting the offering required, and then it'll give you the bonus. If you've ever played PoE, think of kind of like a cast on whatever. So this is basically whenever you cast a skill with a cooldown, you get 50 offering. Now, once you reach the amount that it's required, so remember, every single skill that I cast with a cooldown will give me 50 offering. And the activation requires 400 offering, which means in total I would have to activate this 8 times. So I have to cast 8 skills with a cooldown. By the way, chargers do not count as cooldowns in the game. To activate this, which gives me +3 to all skills for 5 seconds. So every 8 skills that I use, I get this. And it automatically activates. There's not like a button that I have to push to activate it. You will see your runes and how far they are along their progression with a bar. I'm going to go ahead and go to the training ground so you guys can kind of see how it works in real time. But again, you need an item with 2 sockets. I have 2 already ready here for you guys, but I can show you guys some more. It doesn't really matter too much. They're all going to be relatively the same in terms of how they work, but there are different conditions in order to reach whatever. And I'm going to show you guys a fantastic tool that's going to save you so much time because, yeah, mousing over each one is not going to be ideal. So you can see this one over here. I have 2 rune words. You remember we're only allowed to run 2 right now. And just as a heads up, you don't have to play the rune words if you don't want to. In a lot of circumstances, for a lot of builds, it will actually be totally fine to play without them. So don't feel like, oh, I don't really want to do this. Am I going to be behind? Nah, honestly, getting them out of main stat is still pretty strong in the game. So for starters, we have Bach and Ohm. So I have those two socketed in, and you can remove them you can like remove them, and it is not gonna like destroy your item or anything like that. Like I know in D2, like you can't just like, oh, right click remove. In this, you just go to the jeweler. I'll show you guys how that works in a second. But you can see it says Bach Ohm slash chain call to arms. So it says travel 50 meters, and then we get to invoke the Barbarian's Enhanced Warcry, which gets to increase our movement speed and damage dealt. Now, the description on these aren't very good. I would recommend going to any builder website and then going to the Barbarian and then reading what the skill actually does, because sometimes it doesn't really specify exactly what the heck the Warcry does, right? In this case, it does pretty good, but not everything explains everything. So if I travel 50 meters, you'll see that this bar will build up. So I'll have to walk, and then it'll automatically do it. I don't have to do anything. So you see, I got the Warcry, and you can see I got the bonus over here. So that's all that's required for this to work. And if you're running a channel skill like Whirlwind or Dance of Knives, it will still work while this is going. It does not interrupt your like skill at all, which is awesome. So you see, we're now a Whirlwind Barb. So basically, it's going to do it automatically. Now, some of them will have a different condition. Oh, that one just activated, which was going to be Petrify. So we have a Druid ultimate now on the Rogue and a Barbarian skill on the Rogue. It's actually a really cool system. I think this is a really awesome idea. How good is it? We'll talk about that in a separate video, though. So the other one that I have is called Neo Yom, which says it's going to deal damage after not taking any within 5 seconds, and then it's going to activate Petrify, which activates a Druid thing, so that's going to stun the enemies, and it's going to increase our critical strike damage against them. So if I wanted to go ahead and show you how fast this builds up, some will be better for other builds than others, so just keep that in mind while you are actually playing. But now let's go and spawn some extra dummies over here. We'll go and add multiple just so it'll build up a little faster. So again, if I don't take any damage, this one is going to be the one that we're looking at, and it's going to build up, and then it will activate. Once it's all the way over there, what you can see is there is a very small triangle. When the triangle is in like completely purple or pink, then your next skill will activate it, or your next little threshold. You can see basically we're almost there. It's kind of building up. It's more helpful with certain skills where you want to try to time it, like after every 8th skill you get whatever. So now that we kind of see some gameplay and how it works, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys like the full tutorial on how to actually make the rune word, because it doesn't always let you just sock it in the things, because again, you may have double copies of it. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the jeweler, and it doesn't really matter which one that you go to, they're all the same. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my rune word. So I just go to unsocket. I'm just going to click over here and move my face out of the way. So all I have to do is click on it, and then it's going to unsocket. And then you can see, that's it. So I just basically unrune worded my item. So again, you have to have for easier reference, you have to have one ritual, one invocation. Again, like the easiest terminology that I can think of is like you have to have one male, one female. It literally will not let you brick the item. I know in Diablo 2 you can actually brick your item. So for example, this one lets me do Iron Maiden, which is a necromancer skill. So if I was to throw this one in over here, okay, so it requires 100 offering, and then I get that bonus, right? Now if I try to put in another rune that I'm going to consider like the female one, the invocation, it literally won't let me do it. It says you cannot socket multiple in the same item. It won't let you do it. This is also true if I was to, let's say, try to put it in another area, it literally just won't let you. So you cannot mess this up. So now we can go into a different one over here. So this one is deal damage. This is the one that we had before, which is Neo, and then this is what we were running before. I just unsocked this one. So I can just put it in, boom, and then I now have these two linked. Think of kind of like Path of Exile. It's kind of like a active gem, and then kind of like your condition. So the condition is I don't take any damage, and then I deal damage, and then I get that bonus, and then whatever the bonus is, that's what we get. Some will require more of the invocation than others. So there's going to be ones that require more of the points. So like for example, this one requires this one says gain 300 when you do that sort of a thing, and then this requires 500. So we need this one basically 2 times before we get this one 1 time. So it depends on the build, and there are so many of them. Like I said, if you guys want to check out all of them, there is a really great website, because mousing over all of them is not what I would consider the most time efficient, but it's easier to remember the ones that you may like just by the name. And usually in Diablo, you would try to remember the names of like, you know, the rune words like Enigma or whatever. Some of them may change certain other things, like your evade would go into a teleport. There's one for the sorceress that does do that. But again, you could just go to the equipment. Again, this is only for PTR. But if you want to see more of the runes, I can do this, and then you can see all the runes. Unfortunately, and this is some feedback that I want to give them, you literally don't have enough room in this area to actually hold all of the runes, so you're going to actually have to store some in your stash. It's kind of really annoying. They do stack up on top of each other, but there are so many runes, and if you have any gems, you literally have no rooms to hold all of them. So one website that I really want to bring up that I feel like is incredibly important. There might be another website that does the same, but this is the one that I personally really liked. So if I wanted to build a rune word for my build, I would go to this website. Again, I'll link it down below, but it's Diablo4.life database rune words. So what you're going to do is you get to build your skill basically right here. So you're going to be able to select the rune of ritual, which is again, I'm using the terminology of like the male and the female one, but again, you need one of each. Okay, you cannot select 2 rituals or 2 invocations. You can't do 2 males. You can't do the 2 females. They need to basically match up. Okay, so it's like a puzzle piece. It's the best way to explain it. So you can see they're also sorted in rarity. So obviously it goes from blue, yellow, and legendary. It just helps you maybe organize it, because for some reason, if you organize it in here, it doesn't organize it like by legendary. It does how it organizes it. I really wish it just sorted them all by rarity, but it does it by the ritual, and then it goes to the other ones in the different rarities. So that's how it works. But the website that I want to go ahead and pull up again is this over here. And so what it allows you to do is it allows you to read all of them. There's way more invocations than rituals, and they're probably going to add more as time goes on. So if you didn't see anything that really worked with your build, because I was actually testing out a lot of different things, and for some builds, I just felt like there really wasn't anything, and that's okay. Just run like your character's main stat. Again, it's not going to be the end of the world. So you can see that like this one over here, this is cast the same non-channeled skill 3 times in a row. So maybe if I'm playing a channeled skill, this one is completely pointless. Like I'm playing Whirlwind, well, this one doesn't really help out too much. However, remember Whirlwind does spam the shout, so maybe you can still run it. So you can see all of the different ones where it's going to show you how much it gives you too. So you can see this one over here is going to give you 300, this one's 50, this one's 25, this one's 150, this one's 50. They will give you different values depending on how hard it is to reach the condition, but some builds, it might not be that difficult to cast a skill with the cooldown. If you've ever played the Frozen Orb, Lightning Spear, Sword, well, this one, it's going to be probably one of the easiest ones. So depending on your build, you can decide for yourself which one's going to be the best one. I wanted to originally make a video going over tier lists, and I probably will. And I'm curious to know which ones you guys think are the best. Let me know down below, and we'll make a tier list, because it kind of depends on the build that you're playing too. But after you do this, so let's say I want to use, okay, a cast skill with cooldown. Let's say I'm playing like the Frozen Orb, Lightning Spear. And then I want to go to Invocation. So what do I want with this? The best thing to do is actually sit down and read every single thing. Do I need primary resource? A lot of people, though, to be honest, I think that the one that's going to give you the most value, and again, it's not going to apply for every single build, because not every single build can get the bonus off crit to be valuable if you're doing a dot build or something. I think getting the Barbarians, Warcry, that's pretty good. You can grant all of the skills. This one can have some potential. It does cost 700, but the next skill cast will be guaranteed to crit and overpower. By the way, you cannot overpower on the channeled skills. This would be actually super OP because it would continue forever. But Yom is the one that I was running before, where we get a Druid ultimate. So this is going to give us, it's going to stun the enemies, and it's going to increase our critical strike damage against them. And I'm not actually sure if someone wants to actually let me know on this, because it's just a brand new system that we got today. If you happen to be playing that class, do you get the bonus nodes? Let's say you have multiple points into it. Does anyone actually know about that? That would be pretty important. But this one could be pretty good for even Lightning Spear. So you get to reduce your active cooldowns by another 0.25. So again, that one could be pretty cool. This one, I really wanted like a Jaw Ithber. I wanted an Enigma, okay? So it's not the same as Diablo's 2's rune words, where you just get a skill. It's, you get to replace your next evade with the Sorcerer's Teleport, blinking further, dealing damage, and becoming unstoppable. So it will give you unstoppable, which is kind of good. Maybe you want to activate Tobalt or something. So there is some stuff that could be kind of build defining, and maybe now, since you can activate lightning damage, whatever build that you're playing, you can activate things that, when you do a different elemental damage, you get some sort of a bonus, right? So there are different really cool things that you can play around with. But one thing that I do think is quite nice is you cannot mess this up. And then just to go over, can you put one gem in and then you can put in a rune? Well, this is what happens. It says no. you have to sock them together. So you can't do like, you can't just like make something that's really bad. So again, it's not really like the Diablo 2 Runeword system, but we'll make a video that goes over kind of my review of the Runewords, but I want to showcase off kind of how it works and the ins and outs. Remember, this purple bar is very important to monitor because there are certain times where you want to activate it and look at the pink triangle. That's like kind of my best other tip, but that's going to be how to acquire the Runewords, as well as kind of like the ins and the outs, the rules. And again, use this website. I promise you it'll save you so much time, because I was sitting over here reading, okay, every single time, and eventually, yeah, it's just much better to go on another website. Anyways, that's it. If there's any questions, let me know down below. And again, let me know which ones you guys think are going to be the best. But thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe to the bell so you don't miss out when we cover more videos. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.